The Vietnamese real estate market. We believe demand for buying properties for living purposes might remain stable. This has mainly to do with Vietnam's demographic and ongoing urbanization. But demand for buying properties for speculative purposes like buy to sell or leasing buy to lease has a strong chance that it will be impacted negatively due to COVID-19. Hi, my name is Andreas Vogelsanger. I'm the CEO of the AFC Vietnam Fund. Like many other sectors in Vietnam, the real estate market also got hit by the ongoing pandemic. In April this year, the Vietnamese government introduced a social distancing policy in order to limit the spread of COVID-19. This had a severe impact on the numbers of traded properties in Vietnam because people had to stay at home and simply couldn't go out and look at new projects. However, after they managed to successfully fight the first wave, the real estate market started picking up and recovered quite strongly. According to one of the largest real estate brokers in Ho Chi Minh, Dan Khoi Real Estate, the apartments which were sold in the second quarter of 2020 jumped 54% in comparison to the first quarter of 2020. So this was around 2,430 units which were sold in the first quarter. But also villas and apartments had a strong rise of around 42% in the second quarter of 2020 versus the first quarter of 2020. But despite the strong recovery, if we have a closer look and we compare the Q2 numbers of 2020 to the same period last year, we'll see that we are far off from previous levels and transaction numbers are down around 64%. This obviously has, as I mentioned, on one hand to do with COVID-19 and the social distancing rules, but also for a lack of supply of new apartments and houses. Also because of this pandemic which slowed down the construction process. And on top of that, there was a corruption campaign in the real estate sector which delayed the licensing process for many new property projects. Similar to the stock market, also foreigners have only a minor role to play in Vietnam's real estate market. Currently, they own just around 2% of the total housing supply, which is around 16,000 apartments. And hence, we don't think that this will affect the opportunity for local people to buy houses. Given the population in Vietnam, which is almost 100 million, 16,000 apartments is really neglectable as a number for markets like Vietnam. Between 2015 and 2020, there were around 12,000 properties sold. 81%, I think, 81% was sold only alone in Ho Chi Minh to foreigners. So these 12,000 were sold to foreigners and 81% of them in Ho Chi Minh. So at the moment we see real estate developers actively marketing new projects, and it seems the market starts to warm up to that idea and they show interest again. And this is despite the COVID-19. Apartment prices are stable or even slightly higher. But when we look at land prices in areas near Ho Chi Minh nearly doubled in comparison to 1 year ago. For example, land prices in Dong Thang Long area in District 9 of Ho Chi Minh City increased from around $1,000 to $1,200 per square meter at the end of 2019 to currently around $1,800 to $2,000 per square meter. So why is that? Why land prices going up crazily? So on one hand, we have Wynn Group, which is the largest and most influential real estate developer, which has quite strong pricing power, and they priced their land in Vinhome Grand Park project in Dong Lang Long, around 25 kilometers from Ho Chi Minh City, at $3,500 to $4,000 per square meter. Also land supply. Land supply for residential real estate projects near Ho Chi Minh is very limited. So most developers therefore are rushing to secure as much land reserves as they can get their hands on, and hence pushing up prices sharply. And the consumer behavior, of course, has also changed. So high net worth buyers are now rather buying big land plots and build their own villa than buying luxury apartments, because they are afraid of the COVID-19 and they think the population is too highly, the density of the population is too high in apartment blocks and all that, so they want to have their own property and enough land around it. And last but not least, the average lending rate became much more attractive, with current rates of around 8 to 9% from 11 to 12% 1 year ago. Some of you will now say, well, 8-9% is pretty high in comparison to European rates or US rates. But for Vietnam, that's considered quite a bargain currently. But we will see if rates are even coming down lower. I have a feeling they will. And, well, if you look at another point why Vietnam has such a strong preference for real estate, there was a recent survey done from VNExpress.net, and they looked at what the choices of investments are of the Vietnamese, and on the very first place were real estate. So the Vietnamese, really 30%, I think, of all respondents said they want to buy real estate. Then second place was bank deposits, then gold, stocks, and cash. And they made a difference between US dollar and Vietnamese dong, because given the history of Vietnam, where in the past we saw high inflation rates, US dollar was quite a safe bet if you were holding cash. So they're quite specific about that. It's almost treated like a separate asset class. The Vietnamese, actually, they believe that land prices will never fall. So that's a dream of many young people which are up and coming in the emerging market or in the emerging middle class. They want to buy some land as soon as they have the means, as soon as they have enough cash and can afford it. So that also, of course, pushes demand for apartments and land prices. But also foreigners. We saw a strong demand pre-COVID levels, especially from Singaporean or Hong Kong investors, which wanted to buy apartments around Ho Chi Minh. And according to a PwC survey, which has been done recently, the number one among Asian cities in terms of buying residential assets is Ho Chi Minh, followed by Bangkok, Singapore, Shenzhen, Sydney, Tokyo, and so on. But at the very top, Ho Chi Minh by a huge margin. So yes, we believe the real estate sector looks attractive. And if you look at some of the key real estate developers, some of them really stand out with huge land reserves and strong financial power. And I think with a booming economy over the years to come, they are in quite a good position. So if I look at land reserves, who has the highest land reserve, it's VHM, NVL, SCR, NLG. These are the top players in that market. So I really think that could be quite an interesting future to come for Vietnam's real estate market. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you all a nice day.